days, chief investment strategist at Net Wealth. You have a host of other positions. You've been very well known in the investment world, banking and prediction world. You know,
that's right.
Top global predictor, Bloomberg said back in 2012. You saw the nonsense of ERM 30 years ago, but you also, interestingly, put up some flashing red lights before the 2008 financial collapse, the collapse that very famously the Queen said, did no one see this coming?
That's right.
What is it because of groupthink? Does everybody sort of like a herd all go in the same direction?
Yeah, well, 2008 was interesting. The month before that global financial crisis, I was one of only 2 UK economists saying that there would be a deep, imminent recession. But more generally, I was head of research at Standard Chartered. And even though we were a global organisation and not very much in the West, our macro views suggested there was about to be a global financial crisis. Difficult to predict exactly when. So Standard Chartered emerged as the second most capitalised bank in the world. So it was possible to be taking preventative action. I think the real problem is, as you say, often groupthink. People think the good times will continue and often don't think bad times will be able to hit you and you'll be able to prevent them. But the global financial crisis wasn't just a bad hit in itself. It also then led to what we've seen for the last 14 years, which has been a move to cheap money. And cheap money, which was the initial solution to the crisis and did put us back from a deep recession, unfortunately continued with low interest rates, central banks, including the Bank of England, printing money. And that's led to a whole host of problems. But avoiding groupthink is vitally important if you're an economist. Having a global as well as a domestic perspective also is crucial as well.
Well, you've never been shy.
Yeah.
Being an independent thinker.
Yes,
you've never wanted to go with the herd necessarily.
It depends, yeah. Actually, when I moved into the city, a long time ago, October 85, I was then with Chase, but then moved to Swiss Bank, where I was chief UK economist. And my career, shall we say, was elevating very quickly because I thought the Lawson boom was going to become a crisis. I said the boom is bound to become a bust. And most city economists thought because we were running a budget surplus, it had to be good times. And I was pointing out that we had a big trade deficit, and in particular, private sector liabilities, namely consumer credit, was going through the roof. So it often shows that if you focus on what, for instance, if we move to now budget surpluses, that's the desire. Sometimes if you look at one indicator, that can lead you into full sense of thinking. So it's not about being different to the consensus. The key thing is to try and call it as it is. And if you're part of the consensus, so be it. But if you're not part of consensus, then you need to be really sure about your thoughts, because you will come under lots of sticks. And
your head's over the parapet. Yeah, I've done a bit of that in politics,
yes, that's right.
So I know exactly what it's like. And I mean, you could never have imagined, I guess, when you were studying, politics at university, economics at university, that you'd finish up as chief economic advisor to a man like Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
How much does Boris know about economics? We know he's great at classics. How much does he know about economics?
Well, Boris, I always thought, needed to be treated not just as a serious politician as he was, but also as a journalist. And the best way I always felt with Boris was to sit down in a scheduled meeting and to actually talk through the issues. And he's, as we know, a very good writer. And he would pick things up. One of the interesting aspects is that many people used to say he didn't do detail. And that's probably, let's say, true. But what I found is that when I sat down with him in a scheduled meeting, he would actually grasp the detail. So maybe it was because I always made it straightforward, simple to understand. But he did actually get to grips with some of the key economic issues. At that time when I worked with him, it was 2012 to 2016. I'd basically been chief economist at Standard Chartered, very global, got more and more involved in international public policy, whether through World Economic Forum, Bretton Woods, etc. But then Boris approached me, and at that time I was travelling 5 months of the year. So I thought, having come from London as well, and Boris a very important character, it would be very interesting work. And in terms of coming back to your question, I thought he did grasp the issues when it came to the financial sector. In terms of broader economic issues, look, many politicians don't. I'm not saying that he grasped all the detail, but he was always keen to learn.
But you obviously worked well with him. You see, when he won the election, when he became Prime Minister, he won the election, and, we had, of course, this